A podcast is one of the highest trust assets a service-based business owner can build, and most of them never start one. Not because they have nothing to say, they have plenty to say. They say it all day to clients. They never start because the production weight looks impossible. The recording, the editing, the show notes, the cover art, the publishing, the clips, and the staying consistent week after week while also running the actual business. So the podcast stays on the someday list. And the authority it would have built never gets built. I want to take that weight off the table because it is not what it used to be. This show, the one you are listening to right now, publishes 15 episodes a week. 3 episodes across 5 languages, from one script, often made from a 5-minute voice note, and the part of that which is actually mine, the hands-on time I personally spend, is close to an hour a month. I am going to tell you how that is possible. Here is what I want to be clear about up front. This episode is the map, not the full build. I am going to show you the shape of the system, why it works, and what it is made of, so you can see that it is real and that it is reachable. I am not going to walk you through every tool and every setting, and I will tell you honestly why later in the episode. By the end, you will understand what a modern podcast pipeline looks like and why a podcast is worth building now. Hope your day is treating you well. I'm Makeda Bohm. I've closed nearly $10 million in tech sales over 4 years, earned 7 figures doing it, and here I teach service-based business owners how to use AI, automation, systems, and agents to create more money, time, and options. AI is moving at the speed of daily, and I help you keep up. Let me start with why a podcast specifically, because you have a lot of places you could put your energy. For a service-based business owner, trust is the whole game. People do not hire a consultant, a fractional executive, a coach, an advisor, an accountant, a therapist because of a clever post. They hire you because over time they came to believe you are the person who actually understands their problem. A podcast builds that belief better than almost anything else because a podcast is the medium of depth. A feed post is a glance. An episode is a conversation. Your prospect spends 30 minutes hearing how you actually think, hearing your voice, hearing the way you work through a real question. That is a different kind of trust than a glance can build, and it is the kind that turns a stranger into a client and a client into someone who refers you for years. And a podcast listener is worth far more to your business than a social media follower. The numbers are not close. The average podcast episode holds its listener for around 80% of its length, which is often a half hour of real, undivided attention. Compare that to a follower on social media who gives you a second or two on the way past. One is a relationship, the other is a glance. And the trust gap shows up where it counts. People report being more likely to consider a brand they came to know through a podcast than one they met on social media. A few hundred engaged listeners are a more valuable asset than 10,000 followers who scroll past you because the listeners actually know you, and the followers mostly do not. That was always true. The podcast was always the right asset. The production weight was the only thing standing between most service business owners and it. So let me show you what removes the weight. Here is the shape of the system. It starts with one idea, whether that is written down or a 2-minute voice memo. From there, the work that used to take a team happens through tools. The script gets written in your voice, calibrated to how you actually think and talk, which is work you do once and reuse forever. A professional voice clone, built from a sample of your real voice, renders that script as audio that sounds like you. The same script gets translated into other languages, and the same voice clone renders it in each one. So the show exists in 5 languages, and it is still your voice carrying every one of them. Then the finished episodes get distributed, each language to its own show, automatically. Those are the pieces. A voice clone, the kind ElevenLabs makes. The writing and the translation, which is where a tool like Claude does the work. The distribution and the hosting, which is what Captivate handles. Each piece is doing a job that used to require a person, and the cost of running all of it is a fraction of what one freelance editor used to charge for a single episode. One note on cost, because it matters for access. The voice clone tool, ElevenLabs, runs a startup grant for early stage businesses, a large amount of usage free for 12 months. I applied, I was approved, and it is part of why my numbers run as low as they do. If you have a real plan for how you would use it, the application is worth your time and the link is in the show notes. Let me make the hour a month concrete because it is the part people do not believe. The hour is the thinking and reading the scripts. It is me deciding what an episode should say and getting it into the system. Everything after that, the rendering, the translation, the 5 languages, the publishing runs without me. I am not editing audio late at night. I am not uploading files one by one. The system does the production. I do the thinking. That division is the whole point, and it is what makes a podcast survivable for a business owner who already has a full plate. There is a video layer too, and this part is genuinely exciting. If you already film your videos somewhere, an office, a corner of your home, a spot you like, you do not need a studio for this. 2 minutes of that existing footage is enough to build an AI video version of yourself. Once you have that, the same pipeline produces a video podcast, not just audio. So the consultant who has never had a podcast can launch one with audio, with video, and in 5 languages from one idea with no camera crew, no editor, and no producer. Here is what makes this matter even more. Starting a podcast is one thing, keeping one alive is another, and most people do not. The industry data is sobering. Nearly half of all podcasts stop within their first 3 episodes. Most of the ones that get past that never reach 10. At any given moment, only about 1 in 10 podcasts is still actively publishing. The graveyard is enormous. And almost all of it comes down to the same single thing, the production weight finally winning. Now, look at this show. In under a year, it has published more than 60 episodes, 3 new ones every week in 5 languages, which is 15 episodes a week going out into the world. That is not discipline. I am not more disciplined than the people whose shows went quiet. That is the power of AI. The voice you are hearing right now is mine. If you are watching this episode, that is my face. But I did not record any of it. The system did the production. I did the thinking. That is the whole difference between a podcast that survives and a podcast that fades, and it is available to you. Here is a discipline point worth pausing on because capacity is not the same as strategy. For weeks now, this show has been producing 3 new episodes a week across 5 languages, which is 15 episodes a week, and the system does it without strain. But just because you can does not mean you should. I went through my own analytics and the industry research, and the honest conclusion was that 15 episodes a week is more than the audience needs and more than serves the show. So the cadence is now 2 episodes a week, Tuesday and Thursday, fewer episodes, each one carrying more weight. That is depth over volume, and it is a choice, not a limitation, because the system was never the part that was hard. The daily presence is still there. Short videos go out every day, clips pulled from these episodes, rendered with my AI video clone, and scheduled out months in advance. A few hours of input puts months of daily content on the calendar. The podcast goes deep twice a week. The clips keep it visible every day. One pipeline feeds both. Look at what that actually changes. A global, multilingual podcast used to be something only a media company could afford. Translators charge per word, voice actors charge per session. Producing a single episode in 4 additional languages used to run somewhere between $500 and $2,000. So independent operators did not do it. The math did not work. The math works now. Those same 4 languages cost under $1 an episode. A consultant in Pretoria building a practice or a coach in Cebu serving clients across a region can publish to the whole world from a laptop. And there is something worth thinking through here. Publishing in English is not the same thing as publishing globally. It is publishing to the slice of the world that speaks English well enough and prefers it. That slice is real, and it is also the most crowded category there is. The audiences who want substantive professional content in Spanish, in Portuguese, in French, in Hindi, are enormous, underserved, and competing for a fraction of the attention you are fighting for in English. When your show publishes in 5 languages instead of 1, your potential audience multiplies, and your production cost barely moves. I will be honest about what surprised me here. I expected a multilingual show to be a marketing advantage. What it became was a matter of integrity. The whole reason this brand exists is the belief that AI is the great equalizer for service-based business owners everywhere, and the people I am trying to reach in the cities I name on this show mostly do not speak English first. I cannot say that mission out loud with a straight face while publishing only in English. If the mission is real, the show has to reach people in their own language. That used to be impossible at a solo operator scale. It is not impossible anymore, and that is the equalizer working in real time. Let me pause for one quick thing. A podcast pipeline is one system that can run without you, and it is not the only one. The highest value move is knowing which work in your business to take off your plate first. I built a free tool for exactly that, the AI Employee Report. You answer 11 questions about how your business actually runs, and it gives you back a personalized roadmap, the specific work that AI and automation should be carrying in priority order. It takes a few minutes, it costs you nothing, and it is at audit.seedandsociety.com. I don't have enough time in a podcast episode to give you the step-by-step, but the full build, the exact tools, the exact configuration, the prompts, the way the pieces connect so the whole thing runs without you. That is what I teach inside my podcast. In a day lab, the lab is where you walk out of one weekend with the whole pipeline built and running in your own business, your voice clone, your video clone, a month of podcast episodes, and video content completed and scheduled, your distribution, multilingual if you choose, the part that runs on its own. The information stays free. What you pay for is your time back and the months you could otherwise spend assembling this yourself. It is available now at seedandsociety.com.labs, and upcoming workshops and labs with special pricing open to my newsletter readers first. So if that is the version you want, the newsletter is the place to be. Here is what I want you to take from this episode. Your expertise deserves to compound. Right now, if you are like most service-based business owners, your best thinking happens inside client calls, and then it disappears. A podcast is how you stop letting it disappear. It catches your thinking, it builds your authority while you sleep, and it reaches people in their own language. In cities you will never visit, the production weight that kept you from it is gone. What is left is the decision to use the asset. If this episode gave you something, get on my free newsletter. Every week I send practical breakdowns, step-by-step guides, and fresh lists of grants and speaking opportunities straight to you. Go to newsletter.seedandsociety.com and add your name to the list. And if it helped, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and rate and review wherever you listen. That is what carries this show to more people, and it genuinely makes a difference. Until next time, continue planting the seeds for a better society.